Now, something else we've been talking about this morning, well, one person in particular, we lost a broadcasting pioneer on Christmas Day. Janice Long was the first woman to get a daily show on Radio 1 and the first woman to present Top of the Pops on a regular basis. She died at the age of 66, and there have been so many gorgeous tributes over the last few days. Radio 1's Adele Roberts said, "Thank you for everything you did to inspire others and open doors for other women and radio presenters to prosper." The singer-songwriter Midge Ure said Janice stood with us on the pitch at Wembley Stadium as we announced Live Aid, a broadcast legend and an absolute music lover. And many tributes coming from Merseyside, where she was raised. Ian Brodie, a lead singer of the Lightning Seeds, said his friend will be greatly missed by everyone who knew her. I'm delighted to say we're joined now by the broadcaster Bob Harris, who knew Janice well. Bob, it's lovely to speak to you this morning. I know this is difficult and uncomfortable circumstances, but there'll be many people watching this morning who never met Janice, but listened to her on the radio, watched her on TV, saw that smile, saw that bubbly personality, and felt like they knew her. And we've heard from so many people today and over the last few days saying that that is who she was. She was full of life, she was full of fun, and she was great to be around.
You've hit the nail on the head, I think, Dan. You really have. I mean, that was one of the things about Janice. The person that you knew away from the microphone was exactly the same as the person you listened to at the microphone. You know, she was such a lovely person. We talk sometimes, don't we, about the fact that social media can be a very cruel place. But when you look at the outpouring of love that's been directed towards Janice by everyone that she knew over the last 24 hours, it gives you an idea that, social media isn't necessarily such a bad platform after all, but B, much more important, that how loved she was and how respected she was. And as you quite rightly say, she was a pioneer. She was the first woman to broadcast regularly daytime on Radio 1. It sounds amazing to think that now, that it was only 30 years ago. She was also the first female presenter of Top of the Pops. So she was a groundbreaker, and she was the person pushing the door open for the other broadcasters to follow her.
Yeah, and that's what so many people have said. We read a few of those tributes where she had to fight for a place, didn't she, in a different time. And it was uncomfortable on occasions, but her talent showed through.
Absolutely. I mean, she was such a passionate advocate, wasn't she, of new music. I mean, this was the thing that those of us really who are driven by the excitement of new music recognise the role that Janice played throughout her entire career. And it's a funny thing, Dan, although now we're seeing the fantastic reaction to her as a broadcaster and as a person, I'd venture to say that during her lifetime, she was somewhat underrated. I don't think that maybe the public did, but maybe the business didn't always recognize the strength of what she brought to what she'd done. And I'm very, very pleased to see that recognition surfacing now.
I used to love listening to her when I used to cover football matches all over the country and sometimes travel back late at night. I used to love listening to her on Radio 2 in the evening and in the early morning. And I always found her to be a wonderful storyteller, Bob. And I think that, I don't know what you would think. Is that the essence of a successful broadcaster? She just told a brilliant tale.
She did, didn't she? Yeah, she was able to interpret the music for the audience too, bring the music to the audience, talk about the artists, talk about having met them. Talk about having spent time with them and perhaps the way that particular track had been recorded. She had lots of stories. She was accepted and loved by the musicians that she played. She became mentor and friend to so many of them. And, we go back to the fact that what you heard on air from Janice was what she was. And I think that is a real mark of a top broadcaster when they can take themselves on air and just be themselves on air as if they're your friends, just on this one-to-one. Radio has got a unique way of being able to do this, to communicate on that one-to-one relationship. And Janice was just absolutely superb at being able to do that.
We spoke to Mike Reid earlier, who said he went on bargain hunt with her and had a fantastic time. We saw the pictures of you together on Pointless. I imagine she'd be a great giggle on there as well.
She was, yeah, she was. She was very irreverent, as I'm sure Mike probably told you, you know. And yeah, but she didn't. That was the other thing with Janice. She didn't take everything too seriously. You know, she was enjoying her life. She was enjoying these moments. And let's face it, you know, all of us are very privileged to be in the situation that we're in. I stop regularly to pinch myself to think, how come is it that I'm in the middle of this wonderful world that I love so much? And Janice always felt that. She was always, if you like, thankful for the situation that she was in.
Oh, Bob, it's lovely to see you smiling, thinking about her this morning. Thank you so much for those lovely memories. That's Bob Harris, broadcaster and writer, remembering his friend Janice Long.